Reaction on Toronto's mayoral campaign trail to proposed federal bail reform.
It can't be just law enforcement, it has to be the entire judicial system.
The mental health support and all of those things to make sure that people don't repeat.
How the proposal to force certain repeat offenders to prove why they should be released on bail is dividing opinion here in Toronto.
Where is going to come from the expenses? From the taxpayers.
Plus, a new concern for the Eglinton Crosstown will explain the legal fight that could halt work on the problem-plagued mega project.
There was no gun, not even anything that could even look remotely like a gun.
And the Toronto student says he was just trying to break up an in-school fight. We'll explain the details of his $2 million lawsuit against the school board, police, and some other students. Good evening, I'm Chris Glover. For months, many organizations across the country, including right here in the GTA, have been calling for the federal government to get tougher on bail. Today, the government presented a plan to shift the onus onto certain repeat offenders to prove why they should be released. And tonight, many here in Toronto are reacting to the proposed change. Tyler Cheese joins us live from Queen's Park tonight. And Tyler, the Ford government has long called for bail reforms. Let's start with Ontario's reaction this evening.
Well, Chris, the Solicitor General says the federal government is Ontario's call, and he joined many provincial groups.
A person should not be out on bail if they have a history of violence.
If Bill C-48 passes, repeat offenders of violent crime with a weapon will face a reverse onus to get bail, meaning they will need to prove why they should be released. Currently, the onus is on the prosecution to prove that they should remain behind bars.
You are innocent until proven guilty. This is a critically important part of our legal system. But what we're doing for certain violent offenses is changing the default position.
The law would also expand the use of reverse onus for firearm and intimate partner violence offenses. The bill follows several high-profile cases, including the killing of OPP officer Greg Pershala in December. The accused in that case was out on bail. Police associations all over the country have shown their support of the bill, including the Toronto Police Association. Their president saying Bill C-48 will help victims of crime as well as Canadians know serious repeat violent offenders can and will be held accountable for their actions. Premier Doug Ford has also called for bail reform on multiple occasions.
We can't have a justice system that fails to protect innocent people, a justice system where bad guys are allowed to run free, a justice system that has an open door policy where violent criminals are arrested one day and let back out on the streets the next day.
At the municipal level, former police chief and current mayoral candidate Mark Saunders says the bill needs to be even tougher on gun crimes.
When we talk about community safety, having the right tools in place, it can't be just law enforcement, it has to be the entire judicial system.
Meanwhile, front-running mayoral candidate Olivia Chow says the bill alone won't make the city's streets safer.
I want to deal with the root cause of the violence. Having a roof over people's head so that they can get the community support services, the mental health support, and all of those things to make sure that people don't repeat.
Now, we mentioned the Premier, but the province also issued a statement today saying it's been calling for bail reform for some time. The province also recently announced it will put $112 million toward bail enforcement and its prosecutorial system. Chris?
All right, Tyler Cheese reporting for us live tonight from Queen's Park. Let's turn now to the new legal trouble for the Crosstown LRT. It, of course, was supposed to be up and running in 2020, but again tonight, it's hit a stumbling block. That means the mega transit project is facing even more uncertainty, and Lorenda Redekop has all the details.
It's a transit line that's already been plagued by problems. Now a legal fight and concerns the work could be halted. The conglomerate building the line, Crosslinks Transit Solutions, or CTS, says it's filed a notice of application in court against Metrolinx and Infrastructure Ontario. It says the TTC is not yet officially named as the transit operator, but keeps requesting changes. The conglomerate saying in a statement, "We have asked the court to find that CTS is not obligated to continue working on the project while the issues between Metrolinx and the TTC are resolved. It is not tenable for CTS to continue working towards shifting standards, requirements, and goalposts of project completion."
The TTC has been at the table since the beginning. The TTC needs a system that's safe for its operators to test, and that's what this is about.
This is all about money.
The CEO of Metrolinx blames CTS.
This time delay and commercial tactics must stop. CTS committed to me 3 weeks ago to have a credible schedule to me by Thursday of this week, 2 days from now. And so we were a little bit surprised that litigation now is brought forward again.
He says they're doing what they can to get the project finished, including withholding payments. Crosslinks has launched legal action before. In 2020, it took Metrolinx to court, arguing the two sides should renegotiate their deal due to the pandemic. A judge sided with the builders. Metrolinx has also said there are 260 quality control issues. The CEO of Metrolinx also gave more details about where some of the problem spots are. He says that every time the track crosses a road, like where we are here, those all need to be fixed, and there are 15 of them altogether. Whoever is to blame, people are frustrated.
Where is going to come from the expenses? From the taxpayers. So someone got to step up.
Metrolinx hopes CTS can finish the crosstown sometime next year, 4 years after the original targeted completion date at almost double the original budget. Loretta Redicop, CBC News, Toronto.
So that construction up on Eglinton has, of course, been going on for years. And, of course, it has also been happening year-round. But it's that time of year where you're about to see a lot more construction right around the city. And today, the city laid out a list of priority projects. Ali Chiasson has the story tonight of how it's likely to impact many of our commutes.
Finally, the sounds of summer, from birds chirping, a warm breeze,
We all know the saying, there are two seasons in Toronto, winter and construction.
Today, the city officially kicks off construction season.
Through the 2023 budget, City Council approved more than $1.1 billion in infrastructure improvements. Of that funding, $426 million will be spent improving transportation infrastructure. That includes 32 bridge and culvert rehabilitations, 80 kilometers of laneway, local, and major road rehabilitation, 35 new road safety improvements, 80 new school zones, 25 kilometers of bikeways, which is critical for reducing greenhouse gas emissions.
That's not to mention pothole repairs and water main replacements.
We're doing everything we can to plan ahead and ensure that we're ready to problem solve in real time as pinch points come up.
Including dedicating a priority travel route along Dundas, where traffic lights will be synced, no lane restrictions or on-street parking, all this to help drivers get downtown during the Ontario Line construction at Queen and Bay. If they need to apply this to other streets, Barbara Gray says they will.
It's funny because I'm usually a driver, but because of all the construction, I've decided to start riding my bike. And it just feels like every street we turn on, there's construction going on.
You are like a unicorn. That is exactly like what the city says that they want. They want to encourage people to start cycling more in the wake of all this construction.
And I can do that because I just live up the street.
At least that's why College Street is being torn up. They're building separated bike lanes between Manning and Bay Street.
So, I mean, I'm an economist. I'm an economics professor, so I think we have too little construction in the city. I mean, just look at how much subway line we have compared to similar sized cities. Look at how many bike lanes we have compared to similar cities, how much housing we have compared to similar cities. You look around here, we're in the center of the city is 2-story buildings on main streets. There's a parking lot and some of the most expensive land in the country. This makes no sense, so.
Sorry about the noise, but I wasn't going to tell the construction to stop, right? It's important work.
Let the construction season begin. Ali Chiasson, CBC News, Toronto.
A chillier 9 degrees tonight as we look live at the Toronto skyline. And Colette is joining us now with a first look at the weather forecast. And Colette, quite the tumble through the afternoon.
Things changed very rapidly this afternoon, Chris. As that front went through, there was one period between an hour where we dropped 4 degrees, and then it kept sliding from there as cooler air is making its way in now behind this front. Records, well, we're not going to worry about those for now, but you may want to just have a look at what a normal high is for this time of year, 19, and a normal low is 9. Well, today we were up to 24 degrees. 5 degrees above seasonal, but we're going to be seeing some changes with that. In fact, have a look at how those temperatures are going to slide off overnight tonight. By 8 a.m., we're seeing readings 2 degrees in Ottawa, 3s, 4s, a few 5, 6, maybe 6 to 7 for Windsor. Still, areas with the risk of seeing some frost in here. So frost advisories are in place, all the areas you see in blue, but other areas you may still want to be a little bit cautious and protect your plants if you can. Looking at that overnight low, then Toronto 4. But for tomorrow afternoon, we also have some much cooler daytime highs coming our way for a couple days. Chris, tomorrow 13.
All right, we'll be ready. Thank you, Colette. Significant updates tonight on the developing police investigation we started the show with last night. The victim in yesterday's fatal stabbing near Yonge and Bloor has been identified by police, and the suspect in the attack has been arrested. 39-year-old Marcus Roberts died after he was stabbed in a laneway on Charles Street following an altercation with another man. Police located and arrested the suspect today. 49-year-old Markland Watt has been charged with first-degree murder. And Toronto police are looking for a man who has been missing since Friday. 37-year-old Nathan was last seen on May 12th in the area of Jane and Shepherd. He's described as 4'6", 170 pounds with a full beard and mustache. A command post is set up at the Oakdale Community Center, and anyone with information is asked to contact police. A new report from Ontario's Auditor General says our environment has seen some improvements over the last few decades, but air and water pollution, along with the loss of wetlands and forests, remain a concern. As Talia Ricci reports, there's also a push for governments to make reports like this mandatory.
The report provides a snapshot of the state of the environment in our province. It's divided into the following categories: air, water, land and waste, climate, and nature and wildlife.
We believe the people of Ontario would benefit from a comprehensive report with easily understandable information.
The report found that Ontario's air and Great Lakes water quality have improved in many ways over the past several decades. However, there are exceptions for some contaminant trends, as well as some hotspot areas with elevated levels of air pollution.
In terms of waste management, Ontario's current landfill capacity is estimated to be capable of accepting at most only 10 to 13 more years of waste.
According to the report, a warming climate has raised Ontario's surface air temperature and increased the number of weather-related disasters. Wetlands and forests continue to be lost, and more native species continue to be classified as at risk.
The average number of hectares deforested each year is almost quadruple the area replanted. While the province does not collect comprehensive long-term data on wild pollinators, such as butterflies, wasps, and bumblebees, evidence shows that some species have declined dramatically.
The Auditor General says this report is a first of its kind in Ontario, but not in Canada. Saskatchewan, the Northwest Territories, and the Yukon are required by law to release State of the Environment reports every few years. So are many countries in Europe. Ontario, she says, should be doing the same. Today, the Minister of the Environment would not say he had any concerns about what was presented in the report.
What concerns me is how do we remain a competitive climate in which we take meaningful action on the environment and attract jobs, and Premier Ford's doing just that.
Every Ontarian knows that the Greenbelt is not only at risk, it's being attacked by this government.
Environmental Defence agrees reports like this should be made mandatory by law because it also holds the government and corporations accountable. Talia Ricci, CBC News, Toronto.
There's a student in the gym and she starts screaming that I have a gun.
This high school student says he was just trying to help break up a fight, but instead he became the suspect and he was beaten and arrested. Now he's suing the school board and the police. We'll have the full story right after the break. Welcome back. An 18-year-old high school student is suing the TDSB, Toronto Police, and several other students after he says he was wrongly accused of having a gun at school. He says he was just trying to break up a fight when he was beaten up by fellow students, arrested, and denied medical attention, despite the fact a gun was never found. Greg Ross sat down with the teen today.
4 months after Mark Garneau Secondary School was put into lockdown over allegations that a student had a gun, the person at the center of that incident is now speaking out.
There was no gun, not even anything that could even look remotely like a gun.
18-year-old Ahmad Coburn says he was made out to be a suspect, but says he's actually a victim.
I was sitting in the gymnasium like I usually do, eating my lunch.
He says on January 19th, during the noon hour, he saw a group of students get into a fight just steps from where he was sitting.
I step in to, break up the fight because, they were in front of me, and I'm there trying to calm down everybody.
But Coburn says not long after that, several of the students turned their attention to him.
They huddle around me, and then I'm attacked. As I'm being hit, I'm being called all different types of racial slurs.
He says it was while he was being attacked that another student accused him of having a gun.
There's a student in the gym, and she starts screaming that I have a gun.
Coburn says everyone began scrambling for the exits, including his attackers. He says he began looking for help.
My face was obviously very bloody because I was just attacked. My nose was broken.
He says he was taken into a guidance counselor's office, and a short time later, police arrived and began questioning him. Andrew Kizik, who acts as Coburn's guardian, says he was also called in and quickly noticed the injuries on Coburn's face.
I'm looking at him thinking, has medical been called at all? Has anybody taken a look at him?
Nobody offered me medical attention when I was just hit and attacked multiple times in the head.
Instead, Coburn says he was cuffed and taken to the police station, where he was placed in a cell and held for hours. Later that night, he was released with no charges. He says a gun was never found. He's now suing the police, the school board, and 6 other students for $2 million as a result of the physical and mental anguish he says he suffered.
Ongoing PTSD, I've been seeing a therapist for that. I don't even feel accepted in this community, I can't leave the house without, getting looks or being pointed at.
We reached out to both the TDSB and Toronto Police. Both declined to comment because the issue is before the courts. Greg Ross, CBC News, Toronto.
One of the best players in Major League Baseball is feeling the heat tonight. Aaron Judge is being accused of cheating in last night's series opener against the Jays. Thomas Daigle shows us what he did and why it's so contentious.
The King of New York in hot water in Toronto. Yankees slugger Aaron Judge facing allegations of cheating from the Blue Jays and their fans.
I think he was getting some kind of signal.
Oh, it'll be terrible for the game. Yeah, it's not how we want to play.
Designated hitter number 99, Aaron Judge.
The reigning American League MVP drew loud jeers Tuesday night at Rogers Center. Already the top star for one of the Jays' biggest rivals, he caused a stir Monday night when he was seen glancing towards the Yankees' dugout while at the plate.
Watch what he's looking at.
Yeah. What is that?
Where's he looking?
Where's he looking? And he did it more than once.
And then...
and he pummeled it.
This home run prompting Toronto to complain to league officials, suspecting Judge could be getting help stealing signs.
Seemed odd that his point of focus would leave the pitcher right before the pitch came.
In a game full of unwritten rules, stealing a catcher's signs is notoriously frowned upon. Just ask the Houston Astros.
Their 2017 World Series win is forever tarnished over an entrenched scheme allowing the batter to know what pitch to expect. Astros-style electronic sign stealing is formally banned.
I don't expect anything.
But the Yankees insist what Judge did is allowed.
Our understanding, there's not going to be any kind of investigation because nothing that went on last night was against the rules.
And Mooney's hot.
In Toronto, the controversial glances came at a tension-filled moment as the Yankees manager was ejected with the Jays trailing. Judge claims he was just eyeing his teammates.
Yeah, it was kind of a lot of chirping from our dugout, which I really didn't like in the situation where it's a 6-0 game.
For Game 2 of the series, the hostility kept simmering. A new chapter in an old rivalry. Thomas Daigle, CBC News, Toronto.
If you've stepped outside this evening, you've no doubt felt a bit more of a chill in the air as this May weather swings cooler, right, Colette?
Yeah, I think many folks have been anxious to get into their gardens and do some plantings, and May is a tricky month. We have to kind of watch things. I was showing earlier in the show the areas where we have that risk of frost, or at least the advisories in place. It's pretty widespread, the risk. With some stronger winds tonight that we're experiencing, that'll help a little bit. So the chance goes up even tomorrow night for some frost development for you, but mostly it's north and to the east of Toronto. And then we've seen one area of high pressure leave, had some of that cloud cover today, and some of that was smoke in the upper atmosphere from the fires in Western Canada. The front clearing that away, and now another area of high pressure moves in, so a couple of beautiful sunny days coming our way. And then it's as we get closer to that holiday weekend, we'll see a little bit of wet weather moving in. So here it is tonight with those winds that are coming out of the north to northwest, but that high pressure brings the sun back. It's pulling down some of that colder air from the north of us. And then clear skies again tomorrow night. And that's when you really may want to watch some of that vegetation. We may see those frost advisories more widespread even than they are for tonight. And Thursday again, a couple of beautiful days. It's just the temperatures are a little below seasonal. And then into Thursday evening, we're still doing fine. Now Friday, late day, likely picking up some light showers from that next system moving through, lingering into early Saturday if you're trying to think ahead about the long weekend and making your plans. Those temperatures then tonight, maybe 7. I've got you at 6, Windsor. That risk of frost, that northeasterly breeze, and around the Golden Horseshoe, check out some of those numbers, like 2 degrees there for Oshawa through the overnight and early tomorrow morning. You'll need the layers, and then into the afternoon, probably still a light jacket, 13 degrees, 16. And then there we go into the holiday weekend. A few ups and downs, but kind of close to seasonal for those daytime highs, Chris.
Ups and downs, no kidding. Thanks, Colette. Finally tonight, why did the chicken cross the tracks? Maybe the subway was taking too long. In any case, a wayward bird caused some commuter headaches in Mexico City this week. Service on the city's metro was temporarily halted while police tried to corral the intruder. The power had to be cut while officers and maintenance personnel chased the chicken around the tracks with brooms, gloves, and a trash bag. The bird dodged several attempts to capture it before one worker tossed his coat over it and service was restored. Not sure why I wanted to tell you that story so badly, but there you go. That is our show for you tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you back here tomorrow night at 11. Have a great night, everybody.